It's Thursday, July 24th. I'm Jim Check with Now Media, sitting in for the vacationing Ian Burns, Andrea Jensen-Berg. And here it is, a beautiful Thursday morning in the Okanagan. And we're here with the really big show. The headlines this morning, it's all about energy. Canadians drowning in tax. Alberta wants to start the economic engine. And what have we done so far, Liberals? What have we got done? Province is concerned over immigration plans. Federal employees enjoy binge watching. And BC healthcare in crisis. And the courts to rule on 2 high-profile cases. And all that and a lot more on the Really Big Show. We got a lot today. We got a lot going on. I do want to kick it off with this one here. And I know that you asked, like, why is this in for Canada? And it's for Canada because Canada, as you said it yesterday, Canada is the richest nation in the world by resources. And here you go. Listen to the CEO of the most valuable company in the world explain it in simple terms.
CEO of a global company, what do you see are America's unique advantages that other countries don't have?
America's unique advantage that no country possibly have is President Trump. And let me explain why. One, on the first day of his administration, he realized the importance of AI and he realized the importance of energy. For the last, I don't know how many years, energy production was vilified, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
We can't create new industries without energy. You can't reshore manufacturing without energy. You can't sustain a brand new industry like artificial intelligence without energy. If we decide as a country the only thing we want is IP, to be an IP only, a services only country, then we don't need much energy. But if we want to produce things, something as vital as artificial intelligence, then we need energy. And so I'm just delighted to see to accelerate AI innovation, to accelerate the growth of energy so that we can sustain this new industry and go after the new industrial revolution.
I mean, I would push back and say that other countries could regulate and be incentivizing this innovation. I don't think just President Trump could do this.
The point is,
we could
and it's a
possibly
big point.
Have leaders that
it's
would
all
also...
about energy. It's all about energy. Canada sits on a pile of energy, except our leadership is, for the past decade, has been anti-energy and is suppressing our energy. And there it is. I'm not really pushing the Trump thing. I'm just saying he recognizes that Trump is pushing the energy agenda, where here in Canada we have that advantage and we suppress it. And we're going to see that through the rest of the theme. This is so important. If you don't get anything out of this newscast today other than this, it's all about energy. It's all about energy. And Chamath, who's sitting on the couch with them, was a former Canadian. He came from Sudan, and now he's in the States and made a fortune down there. And he said he was in Toronto just recently and with the CEO of Shopify. And he said the same thing. It's all about energy. Energy is where you see very rich nations and where you see very poor nations. Canada chooses to put its citizens in economic peril. Chooses
for what?
To do
for
it.
A drop in the bucket on the energy scale.
Yeah, chooses to do that. So NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang there, a very important person in the world right now, gets it that it's all about energy. Why can't most Canadians get it? Why can't the leadership of this great nation get it? Why can't we get it? Why can't we get it? Why don't we understand
shift our views on the energy?
Yeah, we need to do something. But what we do get here is what you just talked about, regulation and taxation. And here it is. This is from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. 42% of Canadians' money earned is going to taxation, more than food, clothing, and housing combined. This is absolutely crazy. And here's Pierre Poilievre. We got a small clip here from Pierre Poilievre.
Combined, that is the finding of the Fraser Institute's July 22nd, 2025 report, and it reports on last year, which shows that the tax burden of Canadians is up 2,784% since 1961, so just over 60 years ago, and that bill is vastly outstripping the bills that you pay for everything else. I'm going to quote directly from my laptop on this report. Taxes have grown much more rapidly than any other single expenditure for average Canadian families. Expenditures on shelter are up 2,100%, food up 927%, clothing up 460%, but the tax bill is up to 2,784%. So an absolutely staggering amount of money that is going to taxes. So the average family is spending 42% now on taxes. That is compared to 35% on food, clothing, and shelter. So you have to ask yourself, are you getting more from the government than you're getting from your private expenditures on food, clothing, and shelter? I have a hard time believing it. There are so many different taxes. We've got income tax, payroll tax, health tax, sales tax, property tax, profit tax, liquor, tobacco, amusement, and other excise taxes, fuel, motor vehicle license fees, and then other taxes. Then you've got natural resource taxes. These are the royalties that are paid.
And what are we seeing for our large tax rates? I think that's the main thing. I'm not necessarily against taxation.
Oh, we're getting a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an opioid crisis, a crime crisis. What you want more?
And our new federal government has increased spending by 8% this year.
Nice. Yeah. Anyway, very few people get it, that it's all about energy. Pierre Poilievre gets it. Daniel Smith gets it. Doug Ford gets it. Scott Moe gets it. David Eby sure does not get it.
I think Canadians are finally starting to see this side of the debate. I think this is, these are things we haven't talked about for a while.
This is a train coming down the tracks. You can hear the whistle blowing. You see the light. And then people will say, I don't think that's a train. It's all about energy. Come on, man. Come on.
Well,
anyway.
Press has been taking the environmental stance for the last 10 years.
And Alberta wants to start that economic engine. Alberta's ready to lead, and then she says she wants a major pipeline built, and we're pushing hard to get it through there. And let's listen to Daniel Smith here.
You've also said that you want a pipeline to be in the first wave of the fast-track national projects. The focus right now is on getting C5 to work by building the social license, particularly with the national Indigenous groups. That seems to be the focus rather than changing the regulations. It may be the first wave of projects comes out before they do anything with the regulations. Can you live with that? Because I know this has been a real political flashpoint between you and the federal government. And I based on what they say about wanting projects that are high chance of success and lots of support, I don't know if a pipeline is going to get there by the fall when it starts.
I can tell you that Alberta, as the owner of the resource, we can be one of the guaranteed shippers on that line.
Sure.
And that's what we did an announcement with Enbridge in January, saying that we're prepared to do that. And we are prepared to do that. And so if we have to help to underwrite a proposal in that way by guaranteeing barrels so that others in the industry are able to have the confidence, that's normally the way pipelines get built, is they line up the producers first. And so the problem that we have is that the producers aren't going to line up as long as there's an emissions cap that would require them to curtail their
So the
production.
sequencing, though, becomes a problem, right, for you and to meet the demands of the letter you sent.
Which is why I'm asking for those 9 bad laws to be either substantially modified or repealed. And so we're working with, we have a working group together where we're hoping to be able to find some common ground on that. And that's what I am hoping for, that we would be able to have a Northwest BC Coast pipeline with the Pathways project, because I think that that's the marriage that we're looking at.
What we get in Canada is a lot of hand-wringing and a lot of excuses and different things and no clarity. Like Daniel Smith has clarity. She knows what she wants.
And as they
But
said
from the federal
there,
government, well, as we get is hand-wringing, they different talks to different people, and then CBC running cover for it as well. It's like, repeal the stuff, like show that you're going to do something.
And as she said, what we've seen so far with this Bill C5 is more of a social licensing discussion. We haven't really seen anything.
Hand-wringing. Yeah. And we still have the EV mandate. We have a bunch of things that are just in the way. And then David Eby, we played that clip yesterday from David Eby. Again, him, like poo-pooing the pipeline, the northern pipeline to the northern coast there. Sorry, to the west coast of the northern part of the province.
Well, and she sort of describes like the chicken and egg situation of the BC ferries, where how are we going to get the initial promises if we don't have the regulations in place? We got the egg, we don't have the chicken.
Yeah. And the Liberal Party put out a tweet promoting what they've done so far. This is what they've done so far. We'll break it down for you. They introduced a tax cut to the middle class, which they promoted as $850 for a family. The PBO office, which is the government office, says that's more like $200, $250. So
perhaps offsets the rising cost of living due to these tariffs, if anything.
And then they put up this, cutting, if you read the second line, cutting the GST on homes up to $1 million. It's misleading and dishonest because that is only for first-time home buyers, and most first-time home buyers do not buy new homes because they buy into the resale market because it's easier and it's more. There's more surety. You don't have to wait for the home to get built and all that kind of stuff. So,
and I would assume most first-time home buyers aren't buying the over 1 million.
No, this is under 1 million.
But what I'm saying is.
And then the other thing, the conservative platform was all homes, all new homes under 1.3 million, which is a huge difference. But it's misleading to say that it's cutting on 1 million. It should say underneath that for first-time home buyers only. And in limiting barriers to interprovincial trade, they didn't do anything. It's the provinces themselves making deals. We've seen that, Ontario and Saskatchewan and Alberta made a deal. BC and Manitoba made a deal, and none of it in the Yukon. These are all separate deals. The federal government didn't come and say, get rid of all these interprovincial tariffs. The federal government did nothing. The provinces are doing their own deals. If Carney wanted to take credit for something, he should say, scrap all interprovincial trade barriers right now. But he hasn't. So there you go. And then the last thing, then rebuilding, rearming, and reinvesting in our armed forces. You mean the thing that's been neglected for 10 years? And this is, again, just a slogan because nothing's really been done yet. So, and the last one, introducing the Canada Strong Pass to make more affordable for Canadians to visit national parks. It's basically a coupon. The child gets it off if you as a parent take them. So it's basically a 2-for-1 coupon. So thank you very much for the coupon. Thank you.
Well, and how many Canadians are affording to do these trips to the national parks this year?
And you know what?
Is that price going to really make a difference on the trip?
And you've been to Europe many times. You've lived in Europe. Most of these things are free in Europe. Always, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, museums and parks are always free.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then here they're telling you can have it off for the summer. Anyway, it's all about energy. All about energy.
Who don't have kids?
What's that?
What about for the people who don't have kids? Is there a coupon for them?
Sucks to be you, I guess. There you go. But it's a coupon. Like basically, you can get that out of a book, right? Like like a coupon book that you see.
And I would assume child admission would be less than an adult admission in the first place.
And then this is another one that people on the internet are kind of losing their mind for. The Ottawa put out this thing that it says they opened up this thing for people to apply to have their grandparents and parents come to Canada, and it's kind of caused a lot of things. And it's a newcomer to get their grandparents here, and a lot of people are pushing back and say these people didn't pay into the healthcare system, they didn't pay into this, and all of a sudden we're welcoming people that need a lot of healthcare and will not be contributing to the GDP in Canada and all that stuff. So, and Daniel Smith put out this thing. Alberta is clear that Ottawa's immigration plan is unsustainable, unfair, and needs to be refocused to prioritize economic migrants that ones will contribute to the GDP, not the other way around. Nearly 2 million newcomers arrived in Canada last year, overwhelming. Again, this is just common sense, and they said that it was racist to say it. Overwhelming provincial housing, healthcare, education systems. Alberta's asked for more in saying selecting immigrants ready to work and contribute, but instead Ottawa cut our provincial nominee program by 50%. We need a system that works. And she goes on to say, Doug Ford is also saying that they've spent, I can't remember the number now off the top of my head, I think we have it later, millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars on housing immigrants that can't work because they're so slow on getting work permits. And then he says that he wants to start his own program so that Ontario can dole out their own work permits instead of waiting for the federal government. They're busy watching, what are they doing? What are they doing? Watching Netflix. We're going to talk about that later too. Anyway, the food professor that we carry a lot of his tweets here. This is what he's kind of got a breakdown here of what's happened so far with Carney. March 9th, we had a strong deal for Canada. July 5th, tariffs are here to stay. July 22nd, we don't get a trade deal at all. And,
honestly, I think this government could fall if they fail to get a deal. I hope.
There you go. And then this is two countries in comparison. Again, the theme today, it's all about energy. That's the theme today. It's all about energy.
The theme today also, to let it sink in, is that we are a resource-rich nation. We're just not capitalizing.
Well, it's outlined right here.
Yep.
The oil, third largest reserves. And then Saudi Arabia has the second largest reserves. But then look at when we say Canada's the richest nation in the world by diversity of resources, then you look at below the list here where Saudi Arabia really has sand, silica, and oil, right? And they have sunshine too for solar. But look, forestry, coal, natural gas, LNG, I go on and on and on. Plus, some of the best mining in the world here.
And it's true that Saudi Arabia's oil is easier to extract and a bit cheaper. But part of the reason why Canadian oil is so expensive is because we've not invested in our infrastructure in the last however many years. If we'd been doing and steering ourselves towards using our
economic
resources,
peril,
we wouldn't be in this situation with the States either, because we wouldn't be so reliant on them.
Look at their tax rate, personal tax rate, 0. Ours is 42%.
And, yeah.
Healthcare free, yep. And there you go. So what are we doing? And then if we compare it to Norway, they have $2 trillion in their sovereign wealth fund. And think how much Alberta could have in their sovereign wealth fund if they could sell their oil and gas as much as they could, if they had that deal with Japan, they had that deal with Germany, and plus they didn't have to sell it at a discount to the Americans, the Western Canadian Select. It's absolutely, at times, it seems like we're almost like maybe like a clown show. I don't know. And then here's the other thing. If you look at Canada's population versus the United States.
Get the next slide up there, Ronald.
They have IRS that they're going to cut. After the cuts, they're going to have 64,000 IRS. In Canada, there's 52,500 CRA. And look at the GDP in Canada and the GDP in the U.S. Because that's what they go after. They go. It's a revenue, basically. It's the nation's revenue generator. That's what the government in Canada is. It's a revenue collector, right?
It makes no sense that the IRS and the CRA are similar in numbers. The IRS is dealing with how many
10 times the population, 10 times the
population,
population, and 10 times the GDP. Maybe they don't have Netflix there.
Yeah, that's the next story.
So the Canadian government has banned Netflix on federal networks. Why? Because federal employees were streaming. They're binge watching Netflix. Who's going to get fired for this?
They must be doing something.
Anybody?
We got that many working for this little people.
Hey, anybody? And then they use tons and tons of consultants. We've done tons of stories on how much do we paid to McKinsey & Co.
Yeah, and consultants generally not from Canada.
Well, American. McKinsey & Co. is an American company.
Exactly.
There you go. I mean, it's all about energy.
Well, this should just be making Canadians angry, too, that the federal government has had to ban Netflix during work hours.
Maybe if you want to get favor from some of if you have to call the federal government to get favor, you should ask them what their favorite show is on Netflix and get into that dialogue, and maybe they'll help you with your passport or something like that.
God, yeah.
And then the Saskatchewan court says foreigners do not have a right to immigrate to Canada. That's a Saskatchewan judge rules in the case of an Indian lab technician whose permit was revoked on suspicion of irregularities.
Yeah, the suspicions were that she's tied to a travel group from India that has been alleged to peddle fake college degrees and fake job letters.
Imagine that, eh? Imagine that. And then the Japanese trade deal with the U.S. creates lower tariff rate for vehicles than Canada faces. As Ottawa gears up to negotiate a trade deal with Trump, the Japanese come out with a deal that looks like a good deal, says one trade consultant. So there you go. Japan got that deal. We talked about it yesterday. They need to do something. I mean, the government needs to get rid of that EV mandate if they want to have an automotive sector. I don't know how many times we've said it on this show as well. It's all about energy. If you don't get rid of that EV mandate, Norway, it's just going to, anyway.
A little flustered today.
It's just going to rant about it.
The news it is annoying today if you're Canadian.
And then we're going to listen to Doug Ford talk about the immigration problems that Ontario faces here. We're going to have a little clip here from Doug Ford.
No one understands their sectors and their labor force better than the premiers. And by no means, I want to emphasize this, it's no means the Prime Minister's, well, this is his issue right now, but this has been going on for decades. I'll give you an example. I have a tremendous amount of asylum seekers that are up in Etobicoke and in the hotels. They're healthy, they're willing to work, they're hardworking people, but they're waiting over 2 years. And they're just sucking off the system nonstop, not their fault. The fault falls under immigration, that it takes over 2 years to get a work permit. So as we're paying education, paying healthcare, paying their rent in hotels, which is exorbitant, they want to get out there and they want to be like every other Canadian. They want to find a job. They want to be able to first start off renting a condo or part of a house and then buying a house. But we're tired of waiting around. I can't wait around. It's costing our province an absolute fortune. Just last year, we were close to 100,000 asylum seekers, and I'm still waiting to get get paid back from the federal government. That's one issue.
Yep, allegedly $1 billion and counting wasted on hotel rooms for migrants.
Good for the hotel industry, right?
I think.
Well, it just.
But a hotel's
Well, I
not
mean,
really equipped to
if
have
they
people
have
living there
time-
long term, so I'm not sure
If they
hotels will
have
love
time
that.
to watch Netflix, they have time to process this stuff, don't they?
Well, maybe that's why it's taking 2 years to get these work permits going.
It's absolutely almost like comedy.
I can't
It's
get
almost
over.
like comedy.
I cannot get over that the CRA and the IRS are similar for employee numbers. That shocked me today.
Well, the Canadians, CRA, maybe they get to watch more Netflix, so they got that in their time slots.
Not anymore.
There you go. Most federal workers here in Canada get to work from home still, like 3 days a week. I think they have to go into the office.
Most federal workers, everyone's heard it from someone. Very, very hard to fire. Very, very hard to fire.
Well, there's
what's
two
the incentive to
there's
work?
two high-profile court cases being decided today, and the Justice Center is providing the legal fees for the Chris Barber and Tamara Litch. For Chris Barber and Tamara Litch and Chris Barber, though, are facing. They should get their sentence today, and the Crown is asking for 7 years in prison for Tamara and 8 years for Chris Barber.
For mischief.
For mischievous parking violations and for the 3 weeks of the Freedom Convoy protest in Ottawa there. And the other thing is Eva Chipwick, one of the lawyers for Tamara Litch there, the RBC just cut off her bank. They debanked her. They sent her a letter. We can talk about that tomorrow. We're going to bring it up. But they debanked her. They sent her a letter and said, we no longer want to provide services
and it's
to you.
worth noting that part of the thing going on with the U.S.-Canada trade negotiations is the U.S. wants to be able to have their banks working in Canada.
So that's one of the cases that the decision comes down today. It'll be interesting to see what that decision is. Tamara Litch has already served 49 days that she was held in custody. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with that case. I think a lot of Canadians are really interested to see where they.
Well, it's setting a precedent, this case.
I did an interview with the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom, John Carpe. You should go watch that. And he said when they went to arrest Tamara Litch, they took like the top police force to go. I mean, it was like they would have just went in. Yeah, they would have just went in if they said, "Hey, report to this police department." Instead, they made
a show of it.
It kind of reminds you of like the old King days when they put some heads on a stick out in front of the gate.
100%.
This is a message to Canadians, and Canadians should understand what this is.
Well, and it's a dangerous message to Canadians. If you defy us, we will freeze your funds.
There you go. And then the other high-profile case that's been going on for quite a while, that Hockey Canada trial verdict. And that was Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Dylan Dubé, Alex Formenton, and Cal Foote. They've been found not guilty. They've all been acquitted. They said that some of the stuff that was coming out said that they didn't find the complainant a credible witness. So we'll get more of that as that comes out. That's just breaking. So they got acquitted. So that's and some of them were playing in the NHL too, right? A few of these were actually former Kelowna Rockets here, Dylan Dubé and Cal Foote, right?
Yeah, I don't want to paint all hockey boys with the same brush, but when I was in high school, they were a bit rogue. Yeah. So nothing for the hockey boys, but maybe 8 years for mischief for the truckers.
There you go. And the judge says that, anyway. Oops, I'm getting lost here. And then we're on to international news here, and you put this in here. Now joining the nations that are calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. There's 108 agencies calling for that Gaza ceasefire because they warn of starvation risks that are happening.
And the 8 agencies are actually saying that their employees, their workers there are facing famine as well. This situation is at a breaking point. We're going to see it drop off a cliff. People are going to starve to death by the hundreds and thousands if this doesn't change soon. This, to me, is the leading international story of the day.
This is another one that's bigger than Watergate, they say. It makes Watergate look like Teagate, and here we're going to see Tulsi Gabbard. A little clip here from Tulsi Gabbard.
You were born a man, and you will die a man.
Nope, that's not
That's the point I'm making.
Wrong clip there.
That's not Tulsi, that's Candace, which is our next story. A little bit of technical difficulties this morning. But yeah,
you got that one?
Tulsi discussing more about the Russiagate.
Tulsi, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified Oversight Majority Staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice. The records that we released on Friday.
More to follow.
More to follow, that's a big thing. And then she makes lots of accusations against the media as well. And we have the same problem here in Canada with a lot of the media, the national media, very biased.
At least in the States, they've got both sides.
And this is a really sad case that this Brian Kohberger has been sentenced to life in prison. He made that deal so that he didn't get the death penalty. He's going to serve life in prison for murdering 4 University of Idaho students in 2022. And then when they asked him if he would, if he had anything to say, he respectfully declined to say anything because they were trying to get to the why he did this. And he snuck into that rental home near the University of Idaho campus and stabbed 4 students to death in late 2022. Horrific. There you go. So he got a life sentence with no chance of parole. And the families have no answers why he did it and why he chose to target them.
Is there any why that's going to really explain that?
I don't know the answer.
Senseless violence.
And this one here is the French President Emmanuel Macron there has sued Candace Owens. They've taken a page out of Donald Trump's book, starting to sue these people that make wild accusations. Because Candace Owens, she's I guess you would say, a high-profile podcaster in the United States.
She's quite compelling on this subject, I'll say. And
she says that Bridget, his wife, was born a man. And then Macron pushing back on there and says that he's going to go to court. And
the thing here is thou doth protest too much. If this is really a nothing story, why bother giving it more
And then we're going to play,
media?
We'll play a couple seconds of Candace Owens. She's a firebrand for sure. Let's play a couple seconds of Candace here.
You were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. So give us a sample. I'll send my doctors to take your blood. Figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey, how about just giving us some pictures again of you growing up, raising your children? That would be fine. For whatever reason, to phone, by the way, like I said, we'll get to the bottom of it, right? That is what Discovery is for. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. You're probably hoping, this will go.
Well, I think the most interesting question about Brigitte is she was a 39-year-old woman who found a 15-year-old boy to be attractive. That's the ages they were when they met. So
there you go. And also, she gave him that nice caress on the face there.
Recently in May, I think that was. I wonder if
Macron.
The Candace tensions had anything to do with that.
And then this big thing too, and this is, we're going to play a small clip from this other journalist here, Firebrand as well. as she goes after the Steele dossier guy, Christopher Steele here. Let's play a small clip. She just goes, see this panel here, and she just goes on a rip on him.
Steele probably wanted to go down in history as someone that colluded with the Clinton campaign to take down President Donald J. Trump, but I really think that you represent probably the ultimate grifter in the American political space. For you to even come on here, obviously you're trying to sabotage what President Trump is doing when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, but to sit here, what is it, nearly a decade after you tried to smear President Trump as a Russian asset, to then say, well, I think he's a Russian asset, but even though I'm really good at my job and create all these intelligence reports, it's just sort of a feeling that I have. I'm sorry, what stones do you even have left to turn over to try to corroborate your claim that President Trump is a Russian asset? You what? Weaponized FISA courts, surveillance, warrants, not just domestic spy agencies, international spy agencies too, the entire DNC apparatus, a bunch of political operatives and registered foreign agents here in the United States. The American people would really appreciate it if you would stop injecting your efforts to curtail and totally tank the America First movement by smearing anyone who doesn't want to get involved in forever wars or continue the needless and ceaseless dying of in Ukraine and in Russia, just so you can sit there from your nice perch and just continue to defend the globalist world order by continuing to fan the flames of conflict in Russia and Ukraine. And you know what? The same people that you ally yourself with here in the United States, you think you're so good at gathering intelligence. Last time I checked, it was the 51 intel.
She goes on for a while, 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And if you want to listen to that, the point in this one is we need to stop the funding of media by the government. We need to get government out of media, like all the funding. We've seen that through USAID. We see that here in Canada. Stop funding media so that media can do its job and hold power accountable, not help government push out messages. And in this case, it looks like...
Well, when you have a state-funded media and that's slowly becoming your only choice...
You mean like Pravda?
Well, it's just, it's more of a trade of it's not a democracy anymore.
That's right. It is. The foundation of a democracy is a strong, free, and independent media. And there is no government intervention into media. There is, especially if it's one party. Like, in Canada, we had the Poilievre, the Conservatives running on defunding state-funded media. And then on the other side, we had them saying, we're going to give you more media. And which side did they? I mean, it was blatantly obvious that the CBC was helping Mark Carney win the election.
Now we have the CBC reporters coming out and testifying
saying the
against
same thing. Yeah, saying the same thing.
Hopefully we'll see a change in Canada sooner than later.
Yeah, so in BC news here, BC news, Newmont deploys drones remote-controlled to get those miners that are trapped in the Red Chris gold mine there, and they're trying to get them out. And there is safety.
Since Tuesday,
I worked in an underground mine. I was a controller in an underground mine. There is like safety places for people to go, and apparently the people are in the refuge that's there in the chamber that's designed to support 16 people. They have resources in there, like they have like food and all that kind of stuff to sustain them for a while. So it's a matter of digging them out, right? So if you've ever been underground, it's
dark.
Yeah. So one of the things they sell you when the first time you go underground is you got your helmet, you got your light. Plus it's almost like daylight down there. So much light down there. But they turn off the lights and then they say turn off your headlamp. And then they say, wait a few minutes for your eyes to adjust. And that's kind of a trick, right? Because your eyes will never adjust. There's absolutely zero light down there. But it's also pretty cool down there in ways that there's traffic lights down there because like there's tunnels that go in this way. So like there's lights because it's obviously very, very noisy and you're wearing silencias to kind of like block out the noise and that. But it's very, very bright with all the lighting down there. It's like a small little city down there. It's very interesting down there too. And how they work it. You look up and there's this, I think the mine I was at was 1,000 meters down or something underneath a lake, and the amount of water that was coming in. So the pumps are running steady. And if you stop the pumps, the thing would flood out in, I think it was a day and a half, right? So the pump, like the water pressure down there was you could cut rock with it, right? So it's crazy. But that's a lot of what Canada does, right? So, and that's a Red Chris gold mine in Northwest BC, one of the smallest operations of the major players in the gold bullion market, produces about nearly 40,000 ounces of gold a year. And Newmont owns about 70% of that mine there. We're going to talk about some more mines later on here too as well. Eleanor Sturko put this out here. She's an MLA for Conservative MLA here in British Columbia. The number of patients in Fraser Health who left without being seen grew to 87% since 2018. That's under the NDP government. More people are unable to access healthcare. You know, lots of people talk about, oh, Canada has free healthcare. But it's almost inaccessible to most people. I mean, again, this goes back to immigration. We've had record, not even just like a mild record of immigration. The immigration is completely off the hook. Even David Eby said it's daft.
Another issue that we have is that we have an aging population, and as people age, they require more healthcare. And that's why these new immigration policies designed to bring in people who are no longer working and who are older and are going to be using the healthcare system just make no sense.
Yeah, so I mean, and here's some more bad news here for Interior Health. So the Kamloops Hospital now, it says due to potential gaps in maternity department, physicians shuttling Interior Health is advising expectant parents and families of potential changes to the maternity services at Royal Inland Hospital, and that's in Kamloops, right? Anyone in labor should go to RIH to get assessed, and emergency care for people in imminent labor or experience urgent complications will be available at RIH. And there you go. So we had those challenges here at KGH. Now we're starting to see some challenges there in the Royal Hospital.
That they may be transported to alternate hospitals to deliver their babies. So if you're in labor, do you really want to be taking an ambulance ride for a few hours to another hospital to have your child?
And then here's another thing that'll make people's heads shake too. Charges dropped against Chinese scientists in Vancouver tied to Xi's talents and programs of Canada's synthetic drug pipeline. Let's just drop the charges. And Armin Bangu, Conservative MLA, put that out. Chinese scientists, yeah. So it just charges drop, no accountability, no answers. Ottawa asleep at the wheel. Our communities are paying the price. This drug crisis in Canada, and it seems like China is heavily involved in this, and that's what 100%. Like the American administration keeps accusing China of as well. And here, I don't understand this, and nobody understands it. And Sam Cooper, also a journalist out there, says it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, there's something fishy going on here, I think.
Yeah, and then Rob Shaw from the Orca there says, get ready, BC, for worsening budget deficits amid economic warning signs. Again, it's all about energy.
Yeah.
It's all about energy. Hey, David Eby, tell Alberta they can have that pipeline. Just say, yeah, we'll get rid of that and this, and then just charge them. Yeah. There you go.
Well,
you make money off of it.
I'd like to see what he's done with that $105 billion he's spent in the last 3 years as well.
Get those BC ferries back here too. Let's move on to markets. So markets, relatively flat today, off a little bit, mildly off. Yeah, still everything's at all-time highs there. But Bitcoin. Here's Jim Cramer says that he said live on CNBC that he's buying Bitcoin because of the U.S. debt. I don't know. Jim Cramer's like the death knell. I mean, is it time to sell Bitcoin when Jim Cramer buys Bitcoin? Like,
you're the market expert. I don't know anything about these things.
Yeah, Jim Cramer. Anyway, he's got that show where he rings. He's kind of more of an entertainer than a financial analyst. But Jim Cramer, some people love him. He's quite the entertainer, though, right? He said he wants to own it for his kids. But so Bitcoin again near all-time highs at 118,825 this morning. On U.S. dollars. Everything's priced in U.S. dollars. Oil this morning, again, up marginally at $65.96 for the West Texas Intermediate, and selling at a discount, as usual, Western Canadian Select at $52.90. Why not? Hey, why not? And then if you think you're paying too much for groceries, well, you might be. Loblaws, the big grocery giant that has like Superstore Net, reports record revenue surge as customer traffic and sales picks up. There you go.
This is, disgusting. All these grocery stores have been reporting record revenue since the pandemic.
There you go.
Why is this allowed?
I guess I'm not supposed to say there you go. Somebody doesn't like it, so.
Seriously. And then during the pandemic, I was living downtown Toronto, and all the local mom and pop stores had to close. They were very regulated, and then you had these big chains allowed to continue doing business. Why?
Good question. Gold has been the bright spot for the TSX, though, as it outperforms the S&P 500. Gold has done very well. Gold, like I said this morning, gold is off a little bit this morning, but it's still in that, holding on to that record highs in the 3,300 to 3,400 range, kind of bouncing in there right now as it looks for a direction, where things are going to go. But a lot of, I think, more of the speculative money is moving into the Bitcoin as well. But gold's still in those record high territories, which is good for Canada.
Well, you can hold gold in your hand. You can't hold a Bitcoin.
Canada, guess how many, we've talked about this before, guess how much gold reserves Canada has as a central bank? Zero.
Oh, yeah, zero.
Zero.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero.
Ground.
Very few nations in the world have zero. Canada, leading.
Well,
actually, the only in the G7, the only country in the G7 to have zero.
How much do we sell it for?
$1,200 at an average price, and that was when Mark Carney was one of the
advisors.
No, he was the Bank of Canada.
Oh, great decision.
Yeah, awesome, right? Why not? Close to home here, Teck announces construction of the Highland Valley Copper mine life extension to proceed, so that's they're going to actually have that mine run for another 18 years. The copper, that's that copper mine on your way to Kamloops there. If you go up over the shortcut there, Highland Copper Mine.
As we
talk
about energy and power infrastructure, we're going to need a lot of copper.
There you go, copper. It's all about energy. It comes back to that same theme. Copper, a big player in energy. Copper, a very conductive metal. And, it's not just for your copper craft that you hang on the wall. You probably don't know, you're too young for copper craft. But copper is in, the transmission lines and all kinds of things. Copper, right? So it's one of the bigger copper mines here in Canada, right? So there you go. And
there you go.
British Columbia is one of the leaders in mines, and it takes 20 years to get one permitted.
Well, we'll see. Are these regulations going to disappear?
Maybe less hand-wringing and more getting things done. Tesla reported earnings yesterday. Tesla stock off this morning because some people, obviously, Tesla stock's off about 10% this morning, and that's results there's some slower EV sales, but but again, Tesla's not really a car company if you understand it. Tesla's an energy company. It's all about energy. We'll come back to that same thing. It's all about energy. They have solar panels, mega packs, which are stored batteries, and they also have.
And they've quietly been assembling the supercharger network.
Yeah, that and the Tesla diner. Anyway, lots of stuff going on with Tesla there. So, but here's something kind of cool in our tech section here. This is a Volonaut air bike. Check this out. We're going to play this little clip here. There you go.
I mean, it's cool, but why?
Why not? I guess. Why not? Why not? Elon Musk, travel anywhere on the Earth that's willing to allow loud rockets in half an hour or so at Mach 25. And that's what they're saying, that they're likely going to be using that to transport goods as they get the price of rockets down.
And they've become more successful at catching the rockets recently, haven't they?
Yeah. So I don't want to be the first guy that tries this planetary speed to get somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Would you die at that speed or no?
No.
It's interesting.
Well, if you crash, you will.
I don't know. It just seems like when you go that fast, you should be a bit scrambled.
If you crash, it's just G-forces, right? You might get a little nauseous.
Yeah.
And again, this is John Barlow. Mark Carney's Liberals are coming for your car next year. They'll force automakers to make 20% of the electric vehicles. So we do this over and over and over again. Hopefully our friend of the show, Chrystia Freeland, is watching, and she can help the Liberals just scrap this EV mandate. The auto industry wants, the environment minister won't relent, though, despite calls to scrap it. I don't know, they're just hanging on to it.
If we continue with this, we are going to lose Canada's auto industry.
The left Liberals don't know how to say they were wrong. They don't know how to say they're wrong about Bill C-18. They don't know how to say they're wrong about Bill C-48, Bill C-69, and the EV mandate. They just don't know how to say they're wrong. They just don't know.
As I said, I'm kind of hopeful that if we don't get this deal through, we don't get a good deal for Canada, we might have to have another election.
Here's a little AI clip here from the Tesla diner here as that anime and the Grok join Elon Musk at the diner for a snack. And the fox.
It's just a really efficient way to get the power to the motor.
There you go. I bet AI made that clip. It looked pretty good.
And if you have Super Grok, you can get, I think her name is Annie or Amy, and then the little fox there too. It's not a fox, it's a red panda.
When you
It's a
tried to
red
show me
panda.
her, she was pretty confused.
She was pretty confused, all right. And then the Perplexity CEO says, learn AI or get left behind. That's his message.
I think that's the message Canada needs to adopt. Like we
He's
said
warned
earlier
that
in the
fluency
week.
in AI tools is becoming essential for future jobs, while time spent on social media is a missed opportunity. Like, stop this and start learning, right?
1000%.
And if you watch this news show, you'll learn something. And if you watch CBC and CTV, what you're going to get from them.
Propaganda.
They're going to tell you the narrative of what to hate and who to divide yourself against. And then this one will actually help you understand the world.
Yeah, I've been using Perplexity for researching this show, and it's great. Cites all the sources.
And we cover off 40, 50 topics a day, and CBC will just provide you a narrative of 2 or 3 issues where they're telling you what you need to do
and how
to be part
Carney
of that.
is our champion.
Yeah. And here's Donald Trump has put out the America's AI Action Plan, and here's a tip for Canada. You know how you copy from the leaders? Just crib it. Just take it and run with it. Just take his plan and say, okay, that's our plan, because it's a good plan. It's like they're going to make America first for AI.
Well, the problem with Canada is right now we're not incentivizing innovation.
So they're going to do tax-free for AI training. So they're going to incentivize companies to train their staff. Reimbursements let companies upskill workers without tax penalties.
Yeah. Some intelligent choices.
Makes sense, doesn't it? And then energy. And if it's all about energy, so then you get the infrastructure in place and help with construction.
And I would sort of wonder all these bureaucratic jobs, how many of them can be eliminated now that we have AI? You'd think AI would be able to process all of these applications for work permits.
Well, I don't know if AI can watch Netflix. Can it? Because that's obviously
would it enjoy it, or is it a bit too lowbrow for the AI?
Yeah, I think you could cut a lot of the workforce if you just used AI and you just eliminated the Netflix watching time.
Honestly, when that Netflix story comes out, like, are we going to feel? I'm not going to feel bad if we cut.
Not a good look. Not a good look. And then Trump, they think that fight with Elon Musk and Trump is actually going to hurt Elon's companies, but he's stating, and he put out a tweet this morning saying, I want Elon's company to thrive, not just survive. Obviously, AI, Tesla, one of the leaders in physical AI, actually robotaxi and all those things, and one of the leaders in the physical side, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, which we heard right at the beginning of the show, big fan of Elon Musk, and nobody can get stuff done like Elon Musk. Again, the Liberal government here in Canada vilifies Elon Musk as a Nazi and has some of the leading technology in the world. And we need to figure out what it is that we're doing. And Elon Musk, I don't know if anybody's watched Master Plan 1, 2, or 3. I have watched them all, but he's got a new master plan that's coming out, and his master plans are usually really good. And he said Tesla will profoundly change the world.
Well, it's already profoundly changed the world.
Absolutely. And in our health section here, I don't know if this is really health or not, but McDonald's to test Cosmix inspired drinks at more than 500 restaurants. This looks like a lot of sugar to me.
Yeah, that whipped cream.
That's not the one there. You're in the wrong one there. Yeah, there you go.
There we go, yeah.
That looks like don't drink it, don't drink it, don't drink it, don't drink it, don't drink it. But hey, if you have to drink it, which one would you pick?
I'm going to go Poppin' Tropic.
Poppin' Tropic?
Poppin' Tropic, yeah.
There you go. There's the Frappe, which a lot of coffee drinkers would like. Got a little bit of coffee there. There's strawberry. Very colorful, very attractive.
The other thing is, what do you think McDonald's whipped cream is made of?
Well, hey. You're getting your value if you like chemicals.
Yeah, actually, Dollar Drink Days is probably back on. That's good value.
You know what? I have to admit, I went to McDonald's yesterday. I went and had to do some errands, and I drove through the drive-thru to get myself the $2 sundae. Nice. Right now, there's $2 sundaes in Canada. Nice. You can't get much in Canada for $2. What can you buy in Canada for $2? And it was $2.10, and I gave the lady a toonie and a loonie.
Yeah.
And she gave me back the loonie. She said, that's all good.
Oh, nice.
You know, another place that they want to tip, and they're just like in McDonald's, they actually gave it to me for $2 flat.
Well, McDonald's, little known fact is that they actually got the Tim Hortons coffee contract a long time ago. So I don't know if anyone still likes the Tim Hortons coffee, but the McDonald's coffee is the old Tim Hortons coffee.
Yeah, McCafe, I mean, that was one of the brands they did really well. I do like the McCafe. If I'm on the road, I typically do the McCafe. Typically, if I had a fast food place that I have a weakness for, I typically go to McDonald's. And,
Unless you're in the States, and then it's In-N-Out.
In-N-Out, yeah, In-N-Out. There's nothing, not even come close to In-N-Out. If In-N-Out's I
wonder if the Tesla burgers are going to be better than the In-N-Outs.
If In-N-Out's a 10, McDonald's is probably a solid 6.
Fair.
The rest of them are probably a solid 2. But yeah.
I like the smash burgers.
In-N-Out is actually moving their headquarters from California to, I think it's Tennessee. They've had enough of California.
Perhaps some tax laws.
No, they've had enough of California. We're into the Are You Serious section. Stephen Colbert, he's whining a little bit, you know, saying that he lost his job because of Paramount caving to Donald Trump. But he didn't mention that, you know, like that 40-year-old franchise is just tired and it's losing $42 million a year. He fails to mention that because if you look at this, Paramount canceled Stephen Colbert but re-signed South Park for $1.5 billion.
Well, you
So
know,
South Park
I love
wins.
South Park. I love South Park.
Colbert is
actually
more
funny.
of a, he used to be really funny, but he's more of a political hack now. And he's definitely, you know, like that vaccine thing, he did a couple of those vaccine things, promoting vaccine. What's a comedian doing promoting a vaccine?
Well, even I'm sure if we looked back at his coverage of the Russia-Trump things, we'd have a few.
He's a mouthpiece. He's a mouthpiece for the DNC. That's all he really is a mouthpiece for the DNC.
And I think that's why we've seen Americans shift away from mainstream media.
And speaking of a mouthpiece, here you go. Supposedly this is an email that was a Hillary Clinton email. There you go.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The world hasn't ended yet. And he's in office again. Because that's what they were warning us of in 2020 and 2024. If Trump gets in, the world's going to end. But it hasn't ended.
There you go. And Mel Gibson, he's got a couple words for California here. And you know what? Substitute California for your favorite province or country. And you see if this makes any sense to you. When he talks about California, just substitute in a nation that you know of and the politicians you know. Go ahead.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon and promises to offer. That's all.
I don't know.
Well, I would say there's been some incompetence in a few governments around lately.
And I'm sure a lot of people saw this on the internet or watched it. The WNBA were wearing those shirts at their All-Star game. Pay us what you owe us. And then here's Babylon being says, slaves dutifully so pay what you owe us on shirts for the professional athletes.
Yeah. Well, the other thing with women athletics is I'm all for supporting it, but until they're bringing in as much revenue as the men's sports are, kind of like our EV mandates and stuff, the math doesn't quite add up.
Yeah. I just find it kind of like pay us what you owe us.
Ironic, yeah.
And at the same time, and then a lot of this immigration policies, a lot of people have been talking about this, is that especially like the Democrats and the liberals here, saying, well, if you kick out all the immigrants, if you don't allow this illegal immigration, who's going to cut the grass? Who's going to wash your dishes? And just like you're basically saying you want slave labor.
It's true.
You're basically saying, so this is modern day slavery.
We have 20% of our private sector is the foreign workers, and those jobs.
You want modern day slavery. And then, the countries used to attract slaves or capture slaves, a different thing. There was different ways throughout history where there's slavery. So basically, when you're saying like who's going to cut my grass and who's going to do my menial tasks, like come on.
I'm not sure when Americans became too good for menial tasks. Canadians as well.
Exactly. That's our show for today. We do thank you for watching. If you can help us get the word out, that'd be great. And I understand somebody wrote in here that somebody took a clip off of our interview with John Carpe there and took a segment of that for the Moose on the Loose, their things.
Nice.
We just started here on YouTube. They took our audience away. We had 200,000 that we had earned serving this community here on Facebook and Instagram. They took that away with Bill C-18 as they crippled local independent media. And then now we're trying to put a focus here on YouTube and X and that. So if we'd appreciate your help in trying to get this out there. And we'll keep going.
Fight the good fight.
Andrea Jensen-Berg, sitting in for the vacationing Ian Burns. Ian back on Monday.
And it looks like we're not getting that deal on Monday. We were promised.
August 1st?
Is August 1st Monday? Am I losing days?
I think he might be.
Okay.
I don't think that's
Well, Ian's
Monday.
back, but I don't think the deal's coming next week.
I don't think that's Monday is not August 1st.
Waking up in the mornings has rattled me.
When is August 1st?
What are we at, the 24th? So 1 week, so next Thursday or Friday? It would be next Friday.
There you go.
It's 31 days in July.
There you go. 31 days.
Yeah.
That's it.
We'll see.
That's our show.
What do you think? Do you think the government can survive if we fail to get a deal?
I don't think we're not going to get the deal that Canada wants, but there will be tariffs. I mean, there've always been tariffs. Like we've had tariffs on softwood lumber. We've had tariffs on a variety of things. I think.
And most of our goods are protected at this point with
under the USMCA.
Yeah.
So it's been overblown. But, like the copper tariffs obviously hurt, the steel and aluminum hurt. But again, we hurt ourselves. We hurt ourselves more than he's hurting us. We hurt ourselves by giving that deal
1,000%.
to the China, the BC Fairs. So there's a deal that could use steel and aluminum.
And we're crippling our own auto industry with these environmental laws.
Yeah, the EV mandate. The sector itself, they said, literally we're killing ourselves.
And Canadians should be infuriated because we're killing ourselves to offset like 5 days of global emissions.
Yeah, the climate religion here too, with Stephen Guilbeault and that leading that, and the suppression of energy. We wouldn't even be in this spot if we had a pro-energy government for the past 10 years.
Well, as we keep hammering on, we've had Germany, we've had Japan looking for deals, and now we're behind the 8 ball. While the world is still reliant on our energy, let's use it. And I hope we can shift towards cleaner sources, but that's not reality.
And the biggest thing that's happening in the world right now is this AI revolution, bigger than the industrial age. And the key component for it is energy. And Canada still has policies. Daniel Smith's outlined them. There's 9 pieces of legislation that actually hurt our energy sector. And
we're at a tipping point. I think the policies and the decisions we make now.
Hand-wringing, virtue signaling, like Chrystia Freeland in her own words said it. Canada, or the Liberal government, has wasted 10 years virtue signaling and identity politics, and it looks like we're continuing, because again, they elected a new Liberal government. I think they worked for 6 weeks, and then they went on break. Like, come on.
And they also had that.
Either we're at the worst crisis of our life or we're not.
They also went into that large break when they were doing the Carney-Justin shuffle.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's not serious. It can't be serious. No. It can't be serious because you tell us on one hand that it's almost like bigger than in war, and then all of a sudden you say, well, it's time for vacation.
If it's bigger than war, then let's call Parliament back in August.
Yeah. Did Winston Churchill take a break? Did he say, let's go on vacation during the war? No, I don't think so. Anyway.
Well, he drank every day, so he's kind of always on vacation.
That's our show. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you here tomorrow, 9 a.m.
We don't just report the news. We live here, too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now.